A great news for Olympus, and even better news for Olympus videographers. If you don't already know, my favorite gimbal company, Zhiyun, is compatible with Olympus cameras. Well, more to that later. Today, I want to share my views on one of the latest professional grade gimbals, the Crane 2S. Yeah, this big boy here. Let's roll. Welcome to RED35. My name is Cheng. This channel is about sharing my 16 years of professional experience in photography and video making, with an aim to help you become a better photographer, videographer, or both. Together with gear and gadget reviews to help you get those shots quicker and better, both stills and videos, with a focus on Olympus Micro Four Thirds, since I'm their ambassador too. So smash that subscribe button and hit that bell to stay notified for all my upcoming contents. Just a reminder that this review is on the Crane 2S, with a focus on my experience with the Olympus setup, but it applies generally to all compatible cameras too. I'll put a link in the description to Zhiyun's website should you need to know more information on other compatible systems. If you're searching for Zhiyun's Crane 2S, I presume that you're not a beginner. So I won't go through different modes on the gimbal, because all the gimbals you see on the market right now will have similar modes, such as pan follow, lock, POV, vortex, or flashlight. Zhiyun also made a series of dedicated tutorial videos to demonstrate each one of them too. However, if you want to see some tips and tricks on using Zhiyun's gimbals and Olympus cameras, stay tuned for my future videos. Before I have a look at this beast, let's roll back to have a look at Olympus as a camera that takes awesome videos. When someone mentioned the name Olympus, I bet 10 out of 10 would know that it's a respected and active photographic company that gives photographers capable cameras and lenses to capture the world. But almost no one would associate or even know Olympus in the video world. It may not be known in this niche yet fast-growing sector, but it's proven to be a great tool for hybrid photographers and indie video guys. There's a new wave of creators who fancy Olympus equipment for many reasons, from color science and insane IBIS to sharp and capable pro lenses that feature full weather sealing, freeze-proof, and that all-important physical stop manual focusing ring for all those hands-on videographers. The latest firmware for Olympus flagship cameras also allows unlimited Apple ProRes RAW recording via Atomos Ninja 5, which further solidifies its commitment to the video sector in the long term. So there is a growing presence of Olympus in the video world, and more video guys are joining the Olympus cam, which is a good news for Olympus, since it certainly needs this new discipline to mature in order to stay relevant in this ever-changing creative landscape, especially when video content creation has already overtaken traditional still medium for many applications. Aside from Atomos, Zhiyun is also a known company in the video making community. Being one of the biggest consumer electronic gimbal companies in the world, it is good to know that they have made their products compatible with Olympus cameras. We have reviewed many Zhiyun products before in this channel, including one of my travel favorites, the IBIS. If you haven't seen that video, the link is up here. I will also include a playlist at the end of this video so you can check out other Zhiyun reviews so far. Olympus is known for its IBIS, to me, best in business, I dare to say. So it's natural that you may ask, why on earth do I need a gimbal like the Crane 2S, or any gimbal for that matter? Let me be honest about camera IBIS. As great as it is for photography, the in-body stabilization is only good for certain type of applications in videos such as standing and slow walking video sequences. If you want plain gliding smooth footage, ultra low angle panning, or even crazy spinning movements, then you need a tool like the Crane 2S. Remember, we are talking about filmmaking here, a creative creation for visual experience, not a simple you've been framed video. Zhiyun has a variety of gimbals to suit all types of creatives and filmmakers, from travel-friendly weebless to the giant Crane 3S for larger professional cine cameras. Crane 2S is sitting right in the middle between the two. But this latest model could well be the solution for all small production houses and independent filmmakers, even as a secondary B-cam solution for major productions, because it has combined all the best bits from the other two current models. First, like the weebless, it's also travel-friendly, well, for a professional-grade gimbal. While the Crane 3S needs a very large carrying solution, the Crane 2S is much more nimble, thanks to its full flat and vertical stick design. It also comes with a lockable arm to prevent finger catching too. Once collapsed, the entire gimbal can easily fit into any 30-litre day pack. Second, the powerful and silent motors are nothing short of being amazing. While Zhiyun has developed a habit for not telling us the actual payload limits on the gimbals lately, they do list a bunch of compatible camera models to let you gauge the weight yourself based on your setup. In their website, they showcase large video cameras like the BMP-CC6K, other full-frame mirrorless cameras, and even a large DSLR like the Canon 1DX Mark II with a cine lens attached. These guys are pretty heavy on its own. But that's not it. With the optional bracket, you can even fit a secondary camera on top of the main camera to get a different angle should you wish to. That's nuts considering the total weight of two sets of cameras and lenses. That just shows how powerful the Crane 2S motors really are. With Olympus being the smallest and lightest of the entire list of compatible cameras, I don't anticipate any issue with mounting anything Olympus on the Crane 2S, including my beast, the E-M1X, with other accessories attached. With the excess power from the motors and brilliant auto-tune functions in the gimbal, you do get buttery smooth video captures that resemble results from high-end systems that cost multiple times more. Yes, even more so than my weebless. Over the past couple of years, electronic gimbals have matured to the point that it's hard to differentiate from one to another. Zhiyun remains very creative in product designs. Like their recent glorified stabilized selfie stick to Pocket Rocket Q2, they stand for awesome industrial design. Having said that, the Crane 2S has a more traditional approach. To me, it's great to see that Zhiyun didn't follow other gimbal companies and placed both the tilt and roll motors in the right places. They perform best when they line up with their respective axes. While there will be less strain to the motors, it also allows full range of movements as a result. At its default position, the roll axis motor housing will block the rear screen of the camera, but unless you're solely relying on the back screen, this shouldn't be a problem. But even if you do, the Crane 2S allows you to modify the roll axis motor arm so the motor housing is lowered and out of the way. If you're curious about this modification, here's a link to my fellow creative James, who did just that for his BMP-CC setup. If you look closer, there you'll see where Zhiyun has upped its construction game once again. The arm lock has been beefed up, and now they have two-phase mechanism designed to minimize accidental unlocking during transit. The focus wheel has been upgraded too, with revised dampening for better feel during operation. The mounting plate has been completely redesigned too, so you can make use of the quick release on both horizontal and vertical shooting. Yes, vertical for those IGTV stars and TikTokers. But what's cool is that the plate itself has a standard 1/4-inch screw slot at the bottom, so you can mount another support plate so you can quickly swap between gimbal and tripod support without rebalancing. When fully kitted out, the gimbal can get a little heavy, even for a Micro Four Thirds system. To aid a normal human being like myself, it's good to know that Zhiyun has included a carbon fiber handle to reduce the overall weight just a little bit without sacrificing rigidity to the design. Of course, you can add the optional sling grip handle should you need to counter the heavy setup. So, the overall build of the Crane 2S? Well, this is a premium piece of kit, and it shows. In addition to the carbon fiber handle, all the arms and clamps are made from solid aluminium. In fact, the only plastic bit that you'll find is the external housing to the central part of the gimbal. So, no complaint in the build quality department. Depends on your usage, the new image transmitter can be very useful. When paired with Zhiyun's ZY Play app, you can use your smartphone as an external monitor and to perform certain features. In this review, I'm focusing on my Olympus setup and how I utilize it to do some cool things in this video. But a friendly notice about camera control, regardless of brand, is that when using image transmitter, you are restricted to 1080 shooting with a maximum of 30p. This perhaps is limited by the actual transmission bandwidth more than anything else. While the gimbal is compatible with Olympus cameras, the image transmitter isn't. Well, not fully anyway. At present, gimbal's control does not extend to the image transmitter when connected. So if you want to control the camera remotely, first set your camera controls to Olympus, then use the wire connection from the camera directly to the gimbal and not to the transmitter, and open the ZY Play app, connect your smartphone wirelessly to the image transmitter for video feed separately. A little disjointed experience, but not too bad once you get the hang of it. However, doing so will lose the cool features that I'm about to show you. If you're like me, shooting everything 4K, then the camera remote feature is pretty much useless, since it only allows 1080 shooting. So instead of using remote camera control on the gimbal, I do everything the old-fashioned way, aka menu. However, the ZY Play app is pretty amazing. I use it in combination with both the new transmitter and my iPhone for its awesome tracking and monitor functions. To do this, first set your camera HDMI output as monitor. This will allow the whole image from the camera screen to be transferred to the smartphone screen. The benefit of doing this is to allow you to take advantage of dedicated video mode on the camera and record in 4K and high frame rates at 1080. If you set the output as record, you will hit the same ceiling at 30p and recording in 4HD again. Once set, connect the cable from your camera to the image transmitter and turn them on. Now, power on your Crane 2S. But before you connect it to the app, remember to set your gimbal's camera control to CSS instead of Olympus from the menu. This will allow the gimbal to talk to the image transmitter. Now, open your ZY Play app and connect to the gimbal. Once entered the app, it will ask you to connect to another Wi-Fi network, the one that's generated by the image transmitter. Once connected and synced, hit that little icon, bang, you'll see the image being transferred to the phone, almost lag-free. With the image being streamed, then you'll be able to use the phone screen as a high-quality monitor and use stuff such as Focus Assist, Zebra, Waveform, and RGB. In addition, you can also take advantage of remote gimbal control, which utilizes phone gyro sensors to mirror movements and tracking. The latter is pretty cool and almost like having an automated cameraman with me. Using the fantastic face tracking of my E-M1 Mark III, you can totally add another dimension to your self-filming, especially useful if you don't have an assistant, and in my case, today, the Crane 2S can be my virtual cameraman. See, from the screen, the camera recognizes my face straight away and focuses automatically. As I hit the record button, the camera starts to record and tracks my face. But the magic starts as soon as I tap on the track button on the ZY Play app and highlight my face or my body. The gimbal immediately starts to track my movement and follows accordingly. Oh, one more thing. Remember to set the gimbal tracking to the correct focal length. A mistake that I made on the early testing and wonder why the gimbal kept shaking its head like it's disapproving everything that I did. And the focal length is in full frame terms too. So if you're using a 25mm lens on a micro four thirds camera, you need to choose 50mm focal length for tracking in gimbal's advanced menu setting. This automated feature does require you to have a camera that tracks and focuses your face or body continuously. So in the Olympus world, they are the E-M5 Mark III, E-M1 Mark II and Mark III, and the beast, E-M1X. Perhaps I could be a little biased here, since Zhiyun is the only gimbal company, well, at present, that works with Olympus cameras, but I do genuinely love their product designs and reliability. Like I said so many times in the past, as a pro who works in the field, the last thing you want is an unreliable tool. Zhiyun's gimbal has never let me down. Crane 2S is definitely, well, at least to me, the most appropriate and professional gimbals for any Olympus filmmakers and videographers, as it's powerful enough to accommodate any, and I mean any, Olympus camera and lens combinations with accessories attached. Whether it's going to be mics, lights, or even another camera on top, the Crane 2S can handle with ease. The smoothness of the motor just adds a bit of refinement to the footage, which makes you think it's from a high-end setup. Coupled with the modular upgrade and expansion, including the cool new image transmitter, you can have a mobile filming crew with you in a bag. All that with 8 days of shooting battery life. I really can't argue more than that. I do, however, want to see Zhiyun extends the Olympus compatibility to allow for more creative control via its CY Play app. As mentioned earlier, Olympus camera control is restricted and currently supported in PASM camera modes and not dedicated video mode. This means you can't use OM log or flat profile for more professional recording options, nor it supports 4K and higher Full HD frame rates. I would also like to see the new image transmitter being made compatible to Olympus 2, so I can utilize other cool features like time lapses and panoramic. As far as I know, Zhiyun is working with Olympus, so I'm hoping to see future updates to extend its support soon. If you already have the fantastic Weebless, you may be thinking to upgrade to the Crane 2S after this video. For most beginners, the Weebless is definitely more than enough. For travelers, well, the Weebless is still one of the smallest full-featured gimbals around. Having said that, the finesse result coming from the Crane 2S is definitely not something to overlook. So, if you're a professional, serious enthusiast, or even someone who wants the ultimate smoothness for your videos without the bulk like the Crane 3S, this perhaps is the perfect solution. One more thing. If I'm being picky, perhaps I want Zhiyun's next gimbal to have a smoother joint between the gimbal and the battery holding handle. Yep, this is pretty unbearable. I can definitely wake up a whole village with this. That's it, folks. I hope this video is useful for you, Olympus creators and filmmakers. But even if you're from other brands, these features are available to you too. Let me know your thoughts about the Crane 2S and what you would like Zhiyun to make or incorporate in their future products. You know what to do now. Thumb if you enjoyed this video and sub if you want to support this channel and me. Peace!